In some ways, the teaching profession hasn't changed much in the last century. Your job is to take care of the kids and help them learn. But there have been changes. We've given up desks with inkwells, and blackboards have become whiteboards, and computers have replaced fountain pens. But the basic job is still the same. It doesn't matter whether you teach math or science or history, or whether you teach in Illinois, Connecticut, or Oklahoma. You take care of the kids the best you can. You help them understand the world they live in. And after 30 or 40 years, you hope you can afford to retire. The one thing that has changed in the some 30-odd years that I've been teaching is how teachers are seen.
Can we get rid of the myth once and for all that school teachers anymore are these just your average, ordinary, as Obama wants to say, next-door neighbors who are just doing everything they can to further the educational experience of your children? That's not who they are. They are left-wing activists, active members of unions who are oriented first by a political agenda, second by their own well-being, and your kids come last. Can we just get that out in the open?
The other issue is whether I can expect to get the pension I contracted for and gave up being part of Social Security for over a quarter of a century ago. The whole country knows that here in Illinois, we've got a real problem when it comes to pensions. The Wall Street Journal's editorial staff summarized it all this way.
Welcome back to Opinion Journal. I'm Mary Kissel. Illinois used to be one of the most prosperous states in the country, but no more. Here to talk about the fiscal hole the state finds it's in and its really botched pension reform is assistant OpinionJournal.com editor Alicia Finley. Alicia, can you give viewers some sense of just how big the problem is in Illinois?
Look, they have about a $200 billion pension shortfall by some estimates. They're spending about $7 billion a year to finance these benefits. That's about a quarter of the budget, nearly as much as they spend on education. By 2015, they will be spending more on pensions than on education.
Wow. 2015, when you say more on pensions, you mean pensions to firefighters, teachers, government workers?
Teachers, government workers, public employees.
As far as they were concerned, here's how we got into this mess.
I mean, it's so big that everybody recognizes it's there. So why has he continued to fail?
Well, first of all, this problem has been developing over the past 2 decades. I mean, benefits were increased, they weren't funded. There really is no incentive for politicians to act right now because unions are so powerful. They're the ones who control the elections. Why should they do anything now?
What does this mean for me if I'm a resident of the state? What implications does it have for my life?
I think a lot of businesses are really pessimistic about what's going to happen to the tax environment. Right now you have a 5% flat tax. It was increased a couple years ago in part to fund these benefits. Now you're likely to see some kind of progressive taxation. Whether or not they get reforms, you will likely see a progressive taxation and an increase in the top rates, probably to 7, 8, perhaps even 9% around where they are in California. I mean, that's actually lower than California, but around where they are in New Jersey.
Okay, but, you know, people who live in Illinois aren't stuck in Illinois, many of them. Many of them do have the ability to pick up and move to a more business-friendly state or a state that's employing people like North Dakota or even south to Texas or to Florida. If that happens, is the state really, truly in a crisis that can't be fixed?
Well, right now, the big question is whether the pension crisis can be fixed. They're getting to the point where the pension funds are only about 35% funded. They're probably going to go broke by 2018, 2019, according to some estimates. If they allow this problem to fester another year or two, they will not be able to fund the benefits.
Now, I have to confess, I see things differently, especially since it's 25 years out of my life and my income and my health care that they're talking about cutting. So let me offer a rebuttal, or more accurately, let me offer a rebuttal from some of my colleagues in Oklahoma.
It was the last week of classes. Monday morning, Amy was helping the 6th graders get ready for their graduation ceremony.
They were going to walk into a song, and we were practicing that and finding the right spots.
Pre-K teacher Linda Patterson and her aide Kay Johnson were working on report cards, and kindergarten teacher Erin Baxter was having her 6-year-olds write about, of all things, the weather. 4 miles east at the district headquarters, Superintendent Susie Pierce was writing a speech for her retirement party, but also keeping a close eye on the severe thunderstorms popping up on the radar.
There was a little alert, and this little red dot appeared on the weather map.
Meaning possible tornado?
Possible storm.
There it is. It's a mile right.
Every principal got an email telling them to prepare.
You have just enough time to get out of its way. If you can't get below ground, get out of its way.
For a fleeting moment, she thought maybe everyone was okay. But then she rounded the corner and saw where Linda Patterson's pre-K class had been just moments before.
I'm hearing the child under me saying, I can't breathe, because I had weight on her.
What blew on top of you?
A wall, some 2x4s, a car.
A car?
A car was there on top of all this debris.
The kindergarten teacher, Erin, snapped this extraordinary photo. Linda and her aide were both under that car. The lower half of Linda's body was pinned.
I don't think any of the weight of the car was on me because the wall was on top of me and it was bracing the car from me.
You understand how unbelievable this sounds.
But I wasn't feeling any of it. My feelings were for those kids underneath me, and I could tell they were okay.
They're still talking to you?
Mm-hmm. They were still talking.
You've got a car and a wall, and then you and kids under you. You saved their lives.
Well,
Yeah, she just
did what I just, that's what I needed to do. That's where I needed to be.
When I came around and saw the car, I'm sorry, all I could see was Linda's head. And just the outpouring of people, I don't know where they came from. All these people were running, men with gloves and crowbars and shovels.
With her legs trapped under the rubble, Linda yelled for them.
I said, you can't step on that wall, it's on top of my leg. But I did help them get the 2 children under me out. Now, see, I can't move from waist up. I'm lifting, you know.
You're trapped, your legs are underneath the wall.
And I lift the little girl out and hand her to a man, and I said, her name is Cheyenne.
We told them to get down. There weren't any lights on and already, so they were all scared.
Jennifer Doan's sternum and spine are fractured, and there are lacerations all over her body. She can barely speak, but her memory of the tornado is crystal clear.
I had my arms over the ones my arm over the ones next to me. I looked up at the door and I put my head down and it just hit.
So you remember using your body to cover some of the kids?
I had my arms around 2 of them.
Rescuers found Jennifer under the rubble of Plaza Towers Elementary School. One of the 3rd grade students she was trying to protect was buried beside her.
What were you guys saying to each other?
I was just telling him to keep calm and that they would come. He just kept telling me that he couldn't breathe and he didn't want to die.
How did you get out of it?
It took, I don't know how long we were stuck. And somebody finally came and dug some stuff from right above my head. And they reached their hand down for me.
Jennifer never lost consciousness but was transported without knowing what happened to her students or fellow teachers. Today, she found out 7 of her 20 students died.
What are you remembering, or what don't you want to remember about what played out?
It's been replaying and replaying in my head.
But you have to know that you did everything you could.
Whether you're talking about Miss Simpson, Ms. Patterson, or Ms. Doan, I think you get the picture. Contrary to what Mr. Limbaugh and the Wall Street Journal think, things haven't changed all that much. Your kids and grandkids are cared about. So that raises the question, what do you think? Please pass on your thoughts to your neighbors, your local newspapers, your state legislators, and the governor. I think it'll help.